Okay. So this isn't a huge surprise to anyone, I think, if you've been paying any level of attention or have a brain at all, even like a very basic nervous system that can respond to like light and heat. I think you could still figure this one out, kind of like a plant. That Elon Musk, despite claiming, having a pretense towards political neutrality and a desire for Twitter to be like a neutral, open marketplace of ideas, he's actually frothing at the mouth with the opportunity to be a conservative pundit. So, what really happened with the Hunter Biden story suppression by Twitter will be published on Twitter at 5 p.m. ET. And then shortly afterwards, we're double checking some facts, so probably start live tweeting in about 40 minutes. So we're, CEO of Twitter just gleefully being like, Hunter Biden laptop story, clap, clap, clap. Wait, hold on. Let's make sure that our lawyers aren't going to get mad at us for this one, or anyone else's lawyers. That'd probably be good. What we get though, anyone's to be the victim of a legal scrutiny would actually be Matt Taibbi, who is the person who posted the investigative Twitter thread. So Matt Taibbi is in like what category would you put this guy in? He's not as bad as Glenn Greenwald, but he's in that like not a centrist, but kind of like moderate hanging, like critical of power and authority and establishment kind of guy who ends up like diving deep into let me enable fascism by like yeah, through hackery, I guess. He left the left, whatever. You can see from all the different responses in chat that he's completely incoherent politically because everyone's kind of like trying to paint a different facet of his particular kind of brain damage. He's just like Greenwald, not as hungry for media attention, though. It would be difficult to be as media attention hungry as Greenwald. That would be impressive. Yeah, Taibbi is Taibbi. I haven't talked much about Hunter Biden or the Hunter Biden laptop story on stream because I find it aggressively uninteresting, but as is so often the case, I'm kind of forced into this here. So let's summarize. Okay? Here's what we had up until yesterday. Are you ready for it? Okay. Hunter Biden. We're Googling so I can use an image of the man. Pretty steely, if I do say so myself. Good head of hair on him. Handsome guy, truly the apex of Biden's genes. We've got a handsome man over here, and as I'm not to spoil, but to get to the end of the story, this is a story of Republicans desperately trying to see his cock. Not a joke, actually. Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's son. Keep up with me here, okay? He also, unfortunately, has a history of drug abuse. A lot of crack, I guess, especially a lot of prostitutes. People on the left like to joke about him being super cool, and that's because he is. It's not a joke. But to be clear, the drug problems are real, and that's problems with a capital P. Like, he's talked about this before. We're talking like frankly, an inhuman level of drug consumption. I mean, he blows a lot of his money on this. It's not good. He feels bad about it. He's done a lot of stuff that he regrets. But as far as I can tell, the stuff he regrets, fits largely within the, I've been whoring around category. There's some more legally interesting stuff too. But I think a lot of the moral outrage with Hunter Biden really comes down to the whole prostitutes and coke thing. Obviously, we fully endorse here. I do hope he's able to get clean, though. Hunter Biden, as the son of the former vice president and current president of the United States, is a well-connected man. He's been given a lot of job opportunities based pretty much entirely on the fact that he knows Biden. You've probably heard stories about him having ties to Chinese companies, Ukrainian energy companies. I want to be clear, okay? Hunter Biden is not qualified to have any of these jobs. The reason he's given high-level positions in a variety of companies abroad is because the people who run these companies, or the governments that control the people who run these companies, are hoping they can use him as a way to get at the president. Now, to be clear, if Hunter Biden ever uses his proximity to the presidency to enrich himself, that is called the way everything has always worked since the beginning of time. What? You're telling me family members of powerful people tend to get powerful jobs? That's Really? That's crazy. Oh my goodness. You'll hear a lot of conservatives freak out over this as though Donald Trump is not like historically the most nepotistic president. Like Jared Kushner, Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump. The level of like nepotism and family collusion going on with the Trump family is more egregious and blatant than any other presidency that I can think of. So when Republicans pretend to be offended that like this guy is getting a six-figure income doing nothing on the board of some energy company because he's the son of Biden. Like, they're completely full of shit. Just 100%. What would be a crime would be if Biden's decision making was influenced or sort of coerced as a quid pro quo as a consequence of Hunter Biden's presence in any of these companies. So if evidence could be found that these companies or governments had, through Hunter Biden, sort of covertly twisted information or coerced behavior out of Joe Biden, that would indeed be a crime. And as far as we can tell, there is no evidence of this. See, a little while ago, you guys hear of the Hunter Biden laptop story? This is a whole thing. I'll summarize, okay? A guy who ended up basically being a Republican operative said that one day, just out of the blue, some laptops got dropped at his computer repair shop to be repaired, and he's got bad eyesight, so he couldn't verify who dropped them off, but it's that person smelled like alcohol, so and it turns out the laptops were Hunter Biden's, so I bet Hunter Biden dropped them off and blah, 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 blah. And then he immediately went to Rudy Giuliani with it, and they couldn't verify the identity of the laptops, and it turned into a whole thing. It was very shady from the get-go. For me, the most likely thing that happened is that Hunter Biden was on another crack binge. Somebody lifted his laptops and then contrived a story by which they arrived at their business and was then able to sort of like use the information inside, like plausible deniability, like, oh yeah, we just came across these, but somebody probably lifted them off him. I don't know. Some information on the laptops has been verified. It's been determined to be valid. A lot of the stuff that you've heard about the laptops is fake. For instance, there was a lot of initial buzz about there being child pornography on the laptops. As far as I can tell, that has not been verified years after the initial claim. There are videos of Hunter Biden laying fat pipe with his Magnum dong on, adult prostitutes. We'll get back to those, but there are plenty of verified emails between him and his former bosses talking about Joe Biden, either explicitly or implicitly, but no evidence that any actual crime has occurred, as far as I can tell. There might be some like back ends financial crime stuff that he's done with regards to the way he's handled his money, but if that's the case, it doesn't rise to the level of political scandal because it doesn't directly involve Biden. So, do you guys understand what I'm coming from here? Hunter Biden's not a great guy, and he has done some stuff, but none of this rises to the level of political corruption without a direct connection to Joe Biden, which has not been proven. Where are we at right now? Like with all this, they desperately want Hunter Biden to be like the Achilles heel of Joe Biden, some big political scandal they could focus on that mirrors Benghazi or Hillary's email servers. The difference being that Benghazi was an actual thing that happened that led to people dying, and Hillary's email servers were legitimately sussy on the part of Hillary and her administration. Whereas this Hunter Biden stuff just seems to be Hunter Biden running around making six figures off of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, promising an ear of the president and then never delivering. So he can afford more crack and prostitutes, which again, okay. This has not stopped conservatives from being feral about all of it. And we got this groundbreaking expose alleging Twitter interference, censorship, a violation of the First Amendment with regards to the cover up of the Hunter Biden laptop story immediately before the 2020 election. Now, I want to set the framework here a little bit. The former owners of Twitter have said that they regret censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. Their initial excuse for doing so was that it violated TOS because it contained leaked private information. As we're about to find out, it did, and that was what they acted on, more so than any kind of like broader desire for censorship. What's more, there was a nervousness with the drop of the Hunter Biden laptop story because, like, I want you to think about it, just like a little bit. It's 2020. The Republicans are lying nonstop to prep everyone for the idea that the election was stolen for them because of mail in ballots. There's a ton of media disinfo circulating around. And then, like 2 weeks before the election, an unverified and highly uncredible story about laptops magically appearing containing all sorts of magic information that people are alleging ranges from evidence of Joe Biden being corrupt to child pornography just gets dropped. And you know for a fact that that drop contains TOS violating material. Is it really that surprising that Twitter would, at least for a little while, put the hammer down on it? Was it right for them to do so? Yeah, I don't really know. It seems like they dropped the ball on this, to be honest, but I don't think they were motivated by some kind of like broad censor. I don't think they were deep stating. Remember when Tucker claimed his evidence for the laptop story was lost in the mail because of Antifa? Yeah, I remember that. Seriously, right back when the laptop story came out, you guys, like, if you remember, you remember, there was an insane amount of bullshit that they were saying that they never made any, like, they never made any effort to verify. The only stuff that's been verified are some porn videos, emails. I mean, look, let's just get to it, okay? Thread, the Twitter files. What you're about to read is the first installment of a series based on thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter Files tells an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of human-built mechanism grown out of the control of its designer. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool. Please remember that Matt Taibbi is literally being paid here to do Republican Oppo research. Just keep that in mind. This is not like an independent journalist. He's being paid to do this. We might as well be reading like a Republican. Paid by the word on Twitter. What a tragedy. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool. Hey, we don't know that for sure, just that he had conditions. Oh, conditions? On his Substack, Matt Taibbi tells his readers he had to agree to certain conditions to do the Hunter Biden laptop thread for Musk. Now, what conditions would Elon Musk, the world's stupidest and most partisan human being, what conditions do you think he would insist on for the drop that he's using as a way of promoting the Republican Party? This is supposed to be investigative journalism. I think he had to receive a horse. Yeah, do you think the first time around Elon bribed him with the horse, and the condition here is that he not mention the horse? In an early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create. Okay, let's get to the actual content, please. Oh my God. As time progressed, the site was forced to add barriers. Over time, they used the barriers more often. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another. More to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back, handled. Now let's put on our thinking caps, lads. More to review from the Biden team. A list of tweets. Thanks all. And then a reply. Handled these. Let's take a look at that date right there. Right up here in the top left. Anything interesting about that date to you? What was Joe Biden on August 24th, 2020? Not president. He was a private citizen, a former VP, sure, a powerful man, running for president, but not acting with the authority of the government. Do you know what we're looking at here? We are looking at the most normal shit in the universe. Guys, powerful people, corporations, celebrities, and their agents contact social media companies all the time to get them to look at tweets that they think violate terms of service and want them to take down. There are plenty of tweets that violate TOS that don't actually get taken down because there are like billions of tweets every microsecond. So if a powerful institution, hey, guys, you can do this. If you stir enough of a fuss, if revenge porn of you gets posted to social media, you can contact Twitter and make an effort to get them to take it down. You are capable of doing this. You know why I bring up revenge porn? Guess what material they were trying to get taken down for TOS violations? Yeah, Hunter Biden's leaked nudes. Revenge porn. A violation of terms of service. The non-governmental Biden administration reached out to Twitter to ask them to enforce their own terms of service by removing revenge porn, something that is illegal in many countries today, like federally, like governments. That's what they're fear-mongering over. I'm not kidding. That is the drop. We're going to go through the rest of the thread and blah-de-blah. That is the drop. I'm serious. That is what conservatives are losing their mind over right now. Content which violates TOS and is illegal in large parts of the world. The Biden admin, as a representative of a private citizen, reached out and asked them to take it down. 1984. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party. Yes. If you contact Twitter with a moderation or terms of service complaint and are adamant enough in doing so, literally anyone has the ability to do this. See how this tweet right here has a ton more likes and retweets than the one preceding it? Conservatives are actually acting like this is evidence of some kind of Twitter political collusion. Seriously. Obviously, powerful people are more able to get the ear of companies like Twitter in issues like this. I mean, the world is unfair in that way. I acknowledge that unfairness. But that is not 1984. Both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and Biden campaign were received and honored. Okay. So right away, both the Trump and Biden team did this in 2020, except the Trump team was the presidency at the time. So right off the bat, this investigative Twitter thread, 1984, Twitter is a left-leaning bias. They both did it, except Trump did it while acting as the president of the United States. This system wasn't balanced. It was based on contacts. Because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation, there were more channels, more ways to complain open to the left, while Democrats than the right. No. The president of the United States has more ways of getting in contact with people at a company than any private citizen ever could. My evidence for this is that they are the president of the United States and the most powerful human on earth. What they're trying to do here is use the fact that Twitter employees aren't retarded as evidence that they're colluding with Biden's pre-presidential administration. Like, oh, yeah, Twitter employees tend not to be Nazis. As a product of that, obviously, it means that they're corrupt. These are individual party contributions, or sorry, individual employee contributions. These are literally just the people who work at Twitter putting money forward. It is pretty funny that in 2022 so far, they've donated a total of $451 to Republicans. That is pretty funny. So this one guy is a Nazi, I guess. I don't know. The one guy. So are you guys enjoying this drop so far? Biden used the ability that we all have to remove illegal content from Twitter. But also Trump did the same thing, probably for content that isn't actually illegal. Big news! The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is viable in the documents you're about to read, or visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it's also the assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives. Because those are the people we rely on for info like that. Guys, remember when that expose dropped on how Twitter has a right-leaning bias? You know, the one that involved actual, study? Twitter admits bias in algorithm for right-wing politicians and news outlets. Twitter has admitted it amplifies more tweets from right-wing politicians and news outlets than contents from left-wing sources. According to a 27-page research document, Twitter found a statistically significant difference favoring the political right wing in all countries except Germany. Interesting. Under the research, a value of 0% meant tweets reached the same. On this basis, the most powerful discrepancy between right and left was in Canada. Liberals 43%, conservatives 167%. This percentage change has probably gotten a lot larger under Elon, but we're never going to know now because a lot of this information came from within Twitter that Elon would not allow public because they need to dishonestly promote the idea that the left bias was present here. I pulled this tweet up as well. I've seen a lot of concerning tweets about the recent Brazil election. If those tweets are accurate, it's possible Twitter personnel gave preference to left-wing candidates. Elon is going to be pushing the right-wing, the election was stolen myth in every left-winning election around the planet from now on. Every single time a left-leaning candidate beats out a right-leaning candidate, he's going to see one tweet from Ian Miles Chong or Andy No and go concerning, and then broadcast the message that that actually the whole system is rigged against the conservatives. Okay, there was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it, let's jump forward. The Twitter Files, Part 1. How and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story. On October 14th, New York Post published Biden's secret emails, an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it might be unsafe. They even blocked its transition via direct message, a tool hitherto reserved for extreme cases, e.g. child pornography. Guys, what content was in these emails that is a violation of TOS and also illegal in some countries? That's right, revenge porn. Very publicized revenge porn. You know how free speech extremists? Did the New York Post article have images of the porn? If I remember correctly, the New York Post article linked to the broader drop of information. Am I correct in my memory there? The New York Post article did not contain it. Yeah, originally it referred to the broader document drop which contained it. Again, really not surprising that Twitter would come down on this. Even free speech extremists will say stuff like, oh yeah, well, nothing should be moderated except for stuff that's illegal, you know? Well, in some countries, this is illegal. White House spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story. Hilarious. Prompting a furious letter from Trump campaign staffer Mike Hahn, who seethed, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. I thought that conservatives didn't have a way of getting to Twitter. I guess the president and his administration actually are capable of reaching Twitter if they want. At least pretend to care for the next 20 days. That's an interesting way of defending this. This led public policy executive Carolyn Strom to send out a polite what the query. Several employees noted there was tension between the comm/policy teams who had little/less control over moderation and the safety/trust teams. Strom's note returned the answer the laptop story had been removed for violation of company's hack material policy. This is not the first time they have employed this hack material policy. Do you guys remember the big like drop of leaked info on police that came out a couple of years before this that ended up getting censored likewise because it was a bunch of like hacked out info? Not the first time they've done this. Really, there's nothing exceptional about what Twitter did here. What's exceptional is the way in which Republicans try to lie and propagandize. It's really not Twitter's fault that Republicans try to dig up smear jobs in their opponents by posting revenge porn on their children. That's kind of a them thing, you know? Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer was about possible foreign hacks, there was no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. There was no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. That's it. And yet, if you take a look at the Twitters of any conservative pundit right now, if you take a look at Elon Musk's Twitter, they are nonstop talking about how the Democrats use the White House to censor the laptop story. In their own Twitter thread, the decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal and trust Vijaya Gad playing a key role. I don't know if the CEO needs to be aware of every moderation enforcement decision. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. Thank you for your anecdote from one anonymous employee who did what work at Twitter? Thank you. You can craft any narrative you want from sourcing like this. You can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gad and former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth. Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe. So, okay. One person wants to know more internally. By this point, everyone knew this was said one former employee. It's interesting how all of the most condemnatory statements aren't backed up in the emails or the logs they're posting, but are rather just yeah, a guy said this at the time. And what you're going to see here are just like kind of like the natural skepticism and confusion that you would see with Republicans dropping like a ton of weird illegal material and spreading it everywhere weeks before an election. Really, that's the end of it. I don't know. Kana tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment, which, given the fact that this own thread says there was no government involvement, is totally inapplicable. Let's just get to the end of this. There's seriously nothing else. The rest of this is just like some guy in Twitter had concerns. Who wrote this? This is Sabo's letter. The Democrats, meanwhile, complain that the companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the water, make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden's innocent. They linked this to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong. The press wouldn't let the story go. Clinton did some wrong stuff there. In their minds, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content, so when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinfo or otherwise. The Democrats were in agreement. Social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. When pushed on how the government might insist on that consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment is an absolute. So this is an editorialization of one guy writing a story on what happened and not a direct quote. Who is they demurred right there? Who in the Biden administration said the First Amendment is an absolute? It'd be interesting to know that because A, yeah, it's true, it's not. And second, this isn't a First Amendment case. This Twitter thread indicated there was no government involvement. This is literally like a story written by a guy. We're in investigative journalism territory right now, and everything is like one guy said, and anonymous source said, and this guy wrote a story. And here you have Elon Musk playing the bongos with a cat, and Trump's dancing, because they're epic memers over here. Seriously, I wish I had more to say about this, but that's the story. Everything that you're going to see from conservatives. Like, we can take a look at the way, here's an article disproving Taibbi's tweets. Even if every single thing said there was fully correct, none of it means anything. Elon Musk's big Twitter files reveal turns into a snooze fest. This really is a snooze fest. That is true. It's a massive nothing burger. It's incredibly boring. Man, more words? I hate words. In examples of what Taibbi characterized as wrongly removed content, the Substack blogger cited a number of tweets containing non-consensually posted intimate imagery of the former vice president's son, commonly referred to as revenge porn. Hey, quick question. What do you think the odds are that the condition Musk allowed Matt Taibbi to post this thread on was that he not indicate the removed threads contained revenge porn of Hunter Biden? I think that would actually make sense. Like, you can post all this. Just imply that the tweets that were taken down were like hard-hitting investigative tweets against the Biden administration and not like ones containing revenge porn of Hunter Biden. Dick pics are not a smoking gun, no matter how many times you say First Amendment, posted Swisher. True. They've lost their goddamn minds, folks. You know, again, like, I know they lost their goddamn minds a while ago, and there's nothing new. You know, this isn't like a new development or anything. It's just, if you take a look at, like, any conservative media platform, they are currently acting like it has been proven that the Biden White House interfered here when the thread itself says otherwise. Every part of that thread can be torn apart if you have even a basic familiarity with journalistic standards. But, like, even if you just read it like normally, they just want to see his dick real bad. Yeah, I think that's it. They just want to see his fat, meaty cock. And Hunter Biden does have a fat, meaty cock. You would know that if you took a look at real news, that is to say leftist shitposters who have not been able to stop talking about how big and meaty his cock is. You know? He fucks prostitutes, not because he pays for them, but because they've got good pussy. He doesn't have to pay. He just rings them up. And they're like, oh shit, the rich guy with the crack and the giant dick wants to party? Yeah. And that's what they're mad about. Hunter also wants prostitutes to unionize. Yeah, I think I remember. Wait, didn't he say that or something? He was like, yeah. Yeah, like Podrick from Game of Thrones, true. Yeah, the prostitutes pay him. This is a now a Hunter Biden fan stream. We are now that's like the theme of this channel from now on. It's not that hard to figure out. They want to lie about it and don't care whether it's true or not. Yeah. I think they were going to react like this to, no matter what the news was because Elon hyped it up as hype worthy. Yeah. I wonder what Elon Musk's next big drop will be. You know, Elon Musk's this was like the sort of like journalistic equivalent of those meme songs where they'd have like the trap dubstep music that would escalate and escalate, but it would never like actually play the drop. So it's just really frustrating to listen to. That dysmorphia quote from him is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Oh yeah, Hunter has Biden dysmorphia. Don't make fun of him. So his giant dick, it's just too big, but he wants it to be bigger. God, I relate. Did I say Biden dysmorphia? Yeah, I woke up like 2 seconds before stream. Let me